Meeting Prince Rogers Nelson during my clinical death was the most amazing, yet the most burdensome thing that I can think about bearing. I met him there when I died. It was July 20th, 2010. And the thing is, he wasn't... He told me that he was free from a pharmaceutical comatose drug-induced coma, and that everything at Paisley Park was the biggest white supremacy, false religion, white power, occult situation that our world can possibly imagine. And I've been put in charge of telling that to the world, which I gladly do, I humbly do. It's just a great big responsibility because it makes my heart feel like it's going to rip out of its body. It puts my stomach in knots so tight that I have to stop and take in a breath of air to think about the words that I'm going to use to make you know that I'm telling the truth. Now, obviously, if you don't know anything about Prince, the media story is so far from the truth. They concocted that story to cover the actual truth that I was told about in the afterlife, and that's what I've come to share with you today. I know I've been watching Prince since I was 13, and he always looked mad. To me, he was always casting that side eye. He always looked angry and or hurt and like he was going to give somebody the big payback. And when I met him in the afterlife, he was also that way. And now I know why. It's because of the depth of the darkness and the cover-up. It's how occult and satanic our world is and run by Nazis. It's the Illuminati. And A to Z, just like there's a war over Gaza, Palestine, it's A to Z. It's Gaza. It's even Lamech's first two wives. Was it Ada and Zillah? A to Z. This war, this religious, white supremacist, let's all be against the Jews war has been going on since the beginning of time. And in our world, we've seen it as World War I and World War II. I was forewarned and shown of some very dark things that I don't know if they'll come to fruition or not. Perhaps the truth will stop the darkness and the bleakness and the blackness that I was shown in the afterlife. Anyway, what I want to do is I want to expose the depth of the cover-up at Paisley Park and how Paisley Park was in Minneapolis, just like Mickey Mouse and Minnie. It's Disney. He was 33rd degree Mason. There's the 33rd Club there. It's not a secret. It's occult witchcraft. It's just like, when Pharaoh and Moses, God was doing things, changing staffs and snakes, and then they had necromancers and people that would throw down theirs and they would become snakes. And throughout time, our mentality, throughout our reincarnations, our mentality has been shifted and guided and, let's say, brainwashed to believe more in the physical world than in our own souls, which actually connect us to Hashem, to God, and your third eye, pineal awareness, which is in Genesis 32:31, which is just a reminder of the song 31:21. It's all very occult. Our world is like run by occultists, and we as human beings agreed to come into this world to make our way back to Hashem. And I kind of always felt that in my gut, but when I got to the afterlife, and it was the one we know as Prince explaining all of this to me, it was pretty wild. So what's the biggest industries that we know of in this world? You've got religion, of course, and music. Not to mention the beauty industries and stuff like that, because they all go hand in hand. Fashions, fascists, it's all the same. It's all controlled. We are all slaves, giving up to 50% of our income to people who make sure that you report your income and that you pay your taxes. Like, all the systems are falling around us, all the global warming, all the children dying, all the sex trafficking. But you know what? The IRS is still working just fine, because they are slave drivers, they are white supremacy, and they rule the religious cults and the Ku Klux Klan, which is also a cult. And you know what else is a cult? MK Ultra. MK ULT Cultra. And MK is America. So we are a cult, and they have been running game on all of us. And it took place at Paisley Park because of who the creator really is, and how technology and AI is seen and going to be sold, or is currently being sold in our world. They want you so far disconnected from the creator who gave you your own holy soul, your neshama. Listen, when the Hebrew people, and you, because you might be and you just don't know it, Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Now the ECHAD means the Lord is one. The Echad means one. So ECH Echad, meaning the one, is why Prince would always sing, I am the one. Now, Van Jones, who is very close and personal with the goings on at Paisley Park, he is posting on his Instagram, this summer, I'm seeking spiritual wisdom in the age of intelligent machines. So this thing I'm telling you about Prince and AI and Ek, it's all going to make sense very soon. Listen to what Daniel Ek, this wholesome looking fellow, his name is Daniel Ek, E-C-K. He's the CEO of Spotify. Currently, he's investing his money into the war machines made by AI. $69 million he's investing into this scenario called Helsing. And what's really interesting about that is I just showed you Van Jones, and then we got Daniel Ek investing in the Helsing. It's Van Helsing. These people know about the intelligence and the contracts that I've been telling you guys about for 4 years here on YouTube. It's what Prince told me in the afterlife, and it all comes back to CERN and Prince R. Nelson. CERN in Switzerland, they're studying the God particle. CERN is the middle part of the name Prince R. Nelson. CERN is under a gigantic rock, cave, mountain, if you will. And even the biblical story says Cain killed Abel with a rock. Well, they're trying to do the same thing to this creator, the one, the only creator. They're trying to do the same thing to him and make the legacy of the truth of our creator disappear. And I'm not having it, and you shouldn't either. Like I said, it's why he was called the Scream Machine. He was tortured. Let's check out some images, and please make yourself look. Prince, again, when I say Prince, I mean God. I mean Hashem. I mean the one that everybody should know about, who they're praising, because it's who he told me he was in the afterlife. Now, how these things happened and he appeared as Prince, I can't really explain. It's a lot of smoke and mirrors, a lot of, like when you go to Las Vegas, you don't really know what you're seeing when you're watching a movie. You guys, our generation, our breakdown has been cinema, movies. That was explained to me. And if you think about the word cinema, replace the C with an S, cinema. And in the song Party Man, he said, this town needs an enema. In the Batman CD, cinema. Same thing. Anyway, you guys, 41 years now it's been, so I have tons of screen grabs, and this is just one of them that shows how he showed me that his hands and himself, that he changed. Now, say what you want. I made it to 5 live concerts. I saw him in person. I saw him sleeveless and, in jumpers, but he also showed me and told me that he used prosthetics. When he showed me Kedem, the time before time, and I got to see him as, I say, a machine man. It was like he was like a man in his brain or something, but then his parts had been replaced with machinery, much like prosthetics. And so that's why this image of the 1999, he shows himself as a man machine, part of the Matrix. When you look at close-ups like this, you can see Maite flipping over his head. It looks as if they are actually one, but here is the hand. He was always showing us his hands and their ability to change. This one looks smaller, and he hides the left one a lot. And I've explained before, it's because that one kind of changes like a claw thing. These occult practices, MK Ultra practices, they include D1X. Now, D1X was Nazi torturers. They used it and studied human endurance, and that's how Prince was made to do all these things. It's why you see faces that the media sells as orgasmic, or what they call guitar faces, but it's not just guitar faces. He told me and showed me in the afterlife how he would be tortured. He was tortured for who he is in putting love and knowledge about God into his music. So he would be tortured, and they would capture the screams, and then those screams he had to go into the recording studio and layer it into the music. So look at this image here. If you didn't know that this was Prince, first of all, if you zoom right in on it, this looks like somebody who's in horrendous pain being hung by their arms. Just because somebody is dressed in an outfit and the media tells you one thing, you need to question everything. Because he was made to use or used prosthetics, his machine parts throughout time, because he is the Ancient One, were replaced and somehow, I'm not sure, I can't explain, electrified. And he learned through practice and technique, and also through medication, to play the instruments anyway. If you're wondering what I'm talking about, or you think I'm making it up, The Last Nazi, this book by Gerald Astor, talks about D1X and all the drugs and pharmaceuticals and torture. And if you read D1X backwards, KID, it's why Prince called himself the Kid, because the X you can see is a K, and it's KID. If you look it up, the media is going to tell you that it was an experimental performance enhancer secretly developed by Nazis in 1944 for military application, much like the military applications that Daniel Ek and Van Jones are implicating themselves in right now, amongst many others. So the D1X, the Illuminati, and the practices including bupropion, thebaine, paramorphine, and codeine, these are all of the clandestine pills that were found at Paisley Park. And Prince told me when I met him in the afterlife that he was going to make sure that he exposed what was going on at Paisley Park before he self-induced the fentanyl. I know it sounds crazy, right? But think about the song Beautiful Strange. This is the image to Beautiful Strange. There was two sides. He was showing us his two sides. And when I met him in the afterlife, he showed me how, because of who he is, and I believe it has something to do with the Merovingian bloodline, and in the lyrics, he says, I got two sides, and they're both friends. And so when I met him in the afterlife, he showed me how, because contractually he needed to be able to perform in this world so that I could do what I'm doing right now, it has something to do with our souls. And in this physical world, he took on this body and image of the one we know as Prince Rogers Nelson. Now, if you look at it from a distance, you're thinking, okay, cool, Prince. But again, I'm telling you, the media is occult and undercover. If you zoom in on these kind of things, you can see the teeth in the mouth look messed up. It's because of the torture the experimentation of the D1X drugs, which caused these human endurance explosions and sexual, you know, performances. But he also told me that he was forced to sit quietly. Like here, you think you see him performing with just a guitar, but it's not just a guitar. It's like a something that you would put in someone's mouth so that they can't open it or they can't talk. And that's why he has that angry look on his face, because he was being hurt and tortured and laughed at and not talked to and treated like a circus monkey. When he would do this, you can see the arms and legs taking on an unnatural extension. I can't zoom it in anymore, but perhaps you can. It's also how he showed us that his body would change. Now, he showed me his legs as they were not able to be used. It's in the song The Continental, Maite sings "Crawl Over to Me on Your Stomach," and it's because his black leg, when I saw him, it was like they didn't work. What do you call that? A paraplegic or something? It's why he wore so many decorations, like all these dots on the pants, distracted from the length and how the shape would change. If you look really closely at this screenshot, you can see that he's kind of like a spider. Like, you know how on the Monsters Inc. movie, you know, they have that thing with a bunch of legs. His body could change like that too. He showed me a lot of stuff, and I don't usually talk about it because people think it's pretty fantastical, but the truth has to be told. These faces that everyone says, oh, Prince makes the goofiest faces and stuff like that, there was like from nutritional, I'm not sure what torturous things, it would take on like what they call the vampire disease or porphyria or something like that. And there would be different changes, and that's why he would have suckers and stuff like that. You can see in this image, it looks like, you know, he has bloody lip. And the other thing is I want to bring your attention to is the hair over the right eye constantly. If you look very closely at these images, this one, it looks like his eye is just like a black orb kind of thing, and he also showed me that in the after. It's like that picture, Beautiful Strange. Picture it not as a curl, look at it from the side and picture just a black part. Now over here is just kind of blankly staring, and it goes with the lyric, one eye staring at nothing at all, because there's something to do with, when you read the investigation at Paisley Park, they find spoons wrapped in, I think, paper towel in the freezer. And I remember some kind of disgusting, torturous description of eyeballs and spoons. And that's really all I'm going to say about that. These images are how occult the media is. And if somebody like me weren't here to tell you about it, you would never know. I don't mean to say that because I'm so cool, because you guys, this hurts me so bad. It's why he wore some of the costumes that he wore, was to hide the deformation, discoloration, and also because the costumes were torturous and able to have electricity in them. Somehow, for instance, I remember distinctly something to do with electricity in the chains in this hat. It's why he came out performing with MPG as Tora Tora and covered his face. And when during the interview they asked why he was doing it, he said he was too ugly to be seen, and he wasn't even talking. Maite was doing the interpreting for him. It's not just because he was a crazy person, it's because all these things were happening. It's why he said, "Doctor," because the psychopharmacology was always, always, always at Paisley Park. I met a broken, hurt, tortured soul who presented themselves in this world because of how dark and occult it is. He presented to us that he was having a good time, that life was just a party. And this fur, also some kind of torturous satanic thing, thereby the look on the face. It was pure torture, you guys, and why he sang on the Black album about squirrel meat, okay? Also, this picture gives a good image of the legs. If you guys start looking at his legs, like, you know that animal that's half human and half horse or whatever it is on the bottom? I should know, I'm a Sagittarius, but I don't follow all that stuff. But like his legs would always present weird, and again with the buttons on the side, it threw off our vision. It's part of the reason the legs, like if you look like at this picture again, it's why he would do the particular dance moves that he would do. Not only was he dancing through the pain, because he is the one, he was showing us the shape of himself and the ability to morph and change at the time, for this time. Now, these next couple of pictures are stills from the Love Sexy tour, and the song is If I Had a Harem. Again, if you look, you might not think anything about it, but if you look at the whites of his eyes as being not just a side eye, but a different version of him, and you see something like this, you might wonder what it is that you're seeing. And people these days call it shape-shifting, and he did show that to me in the afterlife, but it's because of everything that has been done to him and everything that he has witnessed and seen as the creator, as the one that was being tortured, because this isn't just a guitar strap around the neck. He was made to wear torture devices, and being the one that he is, he made it so that people couldn't see it. These are crazy things that made it, that he showed me in the afterlife, that made it so that no matter what and no matter who and no matter when, I'm going to tell the truth, because this is my family and I'm not going to let it go any other way. I'm not going to let the media get away with their story. The Ek earlier that I was talking about, this AI machine thing that Daniel Ek is investing in, there's an Ek Center, and it's right across the street from Paisley Park. So they call it the Eckankar Center, the temple. It opened in 1989, shortly after Paisley Park opened in 87. The thing about it, it has this pyramid type thing on the top, and it is the EK, the Ek. But what else is EK? 3K or MK. And the 3K, the cult that I was talking about early on in the video. And again, with the pyramids and everything, shapes, you know that Paisley Park, that Prince has the pyramids and everything on the roof there. And if you look at the word Ek, it's what I'm talking about. The creator, the Echad, it's ECH, but they change it to ECK, which phonetically C and K make the same sound, so you don't need them both there. So the Ek Center, Daniel Ek, the 3K, the KKK is also the reason for the song Shaka Khan. Also, if you do it in gematria, what do you have? 666 or egg, because it's Ekankar. This E becomes the E, this A is a small a, and this A is a small a, and it also spells egg and has to do, I believe, with why the egg is at Paisley Park. And when you rearrange the letters, you can also get the words cancer and canker and Shaka Khan. But really what we're talking about right now is the Ek in technology, because technology, the way that we know it in our world, is basically a sale of the creator, because those occultists, those black witchcraft practicing magician from days of old, are doing it right in front of our faces, only nobody was ever supposed to know it, because they didn't count on me learning all this stuff in the afterlife. And what does he say? Where do you go when you want to buy a Sam Cooke album? Rekisto. Ek, ECK. The other thing about Rekisto is he's talking about not only the Ek Center and the Ek and technology and the oneness that I'm telling you, it's Electric Fetus. And Electric Fetus was running drugs along with Taika and Paisley Park and the clandestine labs in California. He told me about the plan in 2010 when I met him. He told me because he was free from that hypnotic state of being, while this other lookalike prince that the Kingdom Hall planned on inserting and calling their Christ. And then he told me that they planned on calling him the creator, our very creator, the Antichrist, an alien Antichrist. I think that what he said is they would plan on acknowledging his powers or something like that, but they might say that they were trying to subdue him and keep control on those powers. And so a lie inside, an ET lie. There's the media lie surrounding the death investigation, but this is why Prince performed songs so sexually, like Get Off, with these orgies around on the black and white floor there. It was to portray that these things actually were happening. And if you think that the Diddy parties are bad, they were going on at Paisley Park too. There were videos made of all of this stuff, and that's why throughout the investigation, the lockers and the refrigerators were full of tapes. But the media doesn't talk about that. And it's not just the media, it's the people involved in and around Prince. You could feel the electricity. They know that Plectrum Electrum, they know that he was being tortured and electrified. All the lyrics, all of the album covers, all of the stage backgrounds. To me, this always showed like the Roman power. It looked like the Roman Empire, and just like the verse, and Rome was chilling in Carthage in 33 BCE. So everything that Prince was putting down, I was listening to. And on top of that, I read my Bible, and I knew that the Torah taught heavily about the sin of Adam and Eve and why they were separated, even though we've been taught that it was an apple that they took a bite of. It had to do with sex. He told me about all that in the afterlife, and who he is, the first man, and who I am, being Eve. And when my soul was brought there on July 20th, 2010, and he was free from that coma, he told me that he was dying of AIDS. And he told me about all these torture things and time contracts and brainwashing and occult practices. And it had very much to do with New Year's Eve of 1999. Before I bite that 1999 apple, let me jump back to the Eckankar Center real quick. Paul Twitchell helped to found it. He designed a patented form of astral travel devised by, this guy Paul Twitchell. In a series of out-of-body experiences, Twitchell claimed to have made contact with superior beings in the astral plane called the Eckmasters, and they showed him this special technique of astral travel. Now, the thing about that astral travel, if you listen to Prince after 2010, the music started to change when he started playing with all girls, the Hit and Run tours, the Live Out Loud tours, the Live Nation in Canada, and then into Piano and a Microphone. This other Prince that looked really, really female started appearing. And the other thing that the other Prince started doing was wearing clothes with 3 eyes and talking about third eye awareness. The new Prince had the clothing, the 3 glasses. It's the imitation Prince. And it's why all these psychedelic lights and everything were at the Piano and a Microphone at the Paisley Park tour, and they even introduced it elegantly casual in mom pajamas, that enormous afro dominating his slim frame. Prince took the stage, decorated sparsely with candles, befogged by a smoke machine, his personal glyph looming from behind. During all this trippy psychodrama, not Prince Rogers Nelson. It's not. And as far as the big looming afro, who the funk is this? Who is this? This Prince over here with the afro was always pursing their lips to make it look like they had fuller lips. In case you didn't know, that's Sister Tyka, who could have very easily been playing one of the lookalikes. And also, she was well known throughout the media to be a drug addict and had plenty of connections in that department. They say this is Prince. It's funny because during the live version of Black Sweat, the song Black Sweat, he says, "You got me looking like Edward G. Robinson up in here." But, I mean, who and what is happening here? I can't say exactly, but he told me about clones and lookalikes being used. And since he's the ancient one, the creator, the one that gives every soul power to wake up in the morning, the one who your prayers rise to, because of who he is, he had showed me himself as just a soul in the afterlife, and he told me about clones and lookalikes being used at Paisley Park for the purpose of money making and to fulfill contracts. This is Mariah Brown. The media will tell you that Prince surrounded himself by young women all the time, all these assistants. But what they call assistants are actually people that would appear publicly with sunglasses and wig. And they would appear in public as him, and perhaps a lot of them even perform as him. This is Julia Ramadan. She was said to be one of the assistants, and if you do a side-by-side, she promoted herself all over her Instagram as Prince, as his assistants, but you can see that it's her. This is Natalia Phillips. There's so many people playing lookalike, I don't know who's who, but the reason they're playing lookalike is because with all the psychopharmacology and soul swapping, they would like somehow use the creator's energy, and these people would use it the same way other entertainers have in this occult musical performance underworld as Prince. The thing about Natalia Phillips is she has a long history. She was in the video A Million Days, and she was in the video 3121. And her dad, I think his name is John or Alan Phillips, I'm not sure which, has been in cahoots with the people that could get her a job at Paisley Park. This is an image of the piano and a microphone to her, and an image of her on our Instagram, and to me, they look quite a bit alike. Now, not everybody might wear a wig all the time, but perhaps they needed to dye their hair. Well, if you needed to dye your hair, then you might pack a suitcase like this with hair dye in it. But that one might not have been Tyka. This one might have been Kirk Johnson, because this medication right here from CVS Pharmacy was in Kirk Johnson's name in the suitcase that they call Prince's. But the drugs that are in the suitcase that I just showed you, and most of the other drugs that were found in vitamin bottles, they were in Kirk Johnson's name and his possession. And they were being sent to the country and in suites in Marone Bakir's name. But the thing I wanted to point out here is that these prescriptions that were in that suitcase that the media shows as evidence of being Prince Rogers Nelson's, they're from CVS Pharmacy. So not only were they getting drugs from Walgreens and a clandestine lab in California, they were getting them at CVS. And what's particularly fun about this CVS on Galpin Boulevard is that Galpin is the road that 3 other properties that the family were going to sell because Prince owned were on Galpin Avenue. And the other thing about the pharmacies is they were using DBAs for the pharmacies, doing business as. Phaedra was an expert in home health care, opening home health care like Ridgeview Clinic or North Memorial Clinic, which were also used in this fraudulent investigation. This proves, and the following information proves, that Kirk Johnson was acting as Prince. These prescriptions from CVS Pharmacy, they're for ondansetron and vitamin D. If you look closely down here at the bottom, it says prescriber Michael Todd, and I'm sure that's going to go on to say Schulenberg, because during the investigation, there is a Michael T, and just Michael Schulenberg. Let me show you what I mean. This Dr. Michael T. Schulenberg was at 675 Water Street in Excelsior, Minnesota. But this one, Michael T. Schulenberg, North Memorial Healthcare, was from North Memorial Healthcare. Now, when Schulenberg was asked here in the investigation, he said his office is located at 15450 Highway 7, Minnetonka, Minnesota. So he didn't say it was on Water Street, but that's where Michael T. Schulenberg is. So not only are there multiple doctors, the thing about the CVS medications that we just saw, when you read through the investigation and you look at the incident report that Carver County supplies, it shows that on October 23rd of 2013, that an ambulance came out and picked up a dehydrated male that day, and that the doctor wrote that she offered Zofran and vitamin D. This is my point. Zofran and vitamin D were prescribed on 10/23 of 13. vitamin D and Zofran, which is ondansetron, it's the same thing, these we don't get to see the date, but these were in the suitcase that they show us as evidence as being Prince's, yet it's in Kirk Johnson's name. During this incident, it's also remarkable when you read through the investigation that Kirk Johnson reports that he took Prince to the hospital that day. The media reports that the ambulance came and got Prince. So there's lies like this all over the place. Listen, there's a lot more to tell. It's why the industry is made up of demos. Throw in a small n, it's demon. Hits, part of the name Hitler. Tracks you get in your arm from drugs. Put the needle on the record. You know, all of these words, they're like drug words. And so the psychopharmacology and this soul swapping and all this that I'm telling you that I learned in the afterlife is real. It's very real. Our generation has been broke down cinematically through news media and magazines. It's skagazines, it's television, it's part of the brainwashing program. So the very least that I can do is expose to you what I heard in the afterlife so that you can reconnect yourself to the Creator. It's strange to me because one of the things that I said in the afterlife is, I thought everyone thought like I did. You know, it's not that I think I'm perfect. It's not that. What I am is I'm very good and kind and honest and loyal and friendly and compassionate and charitable. I have another side too, but I've put that side away, especially over the last 5 years since this information has been given to me by the Creator. Because though I died in 2010, I didn't remember anything about it until COVID-19 lockdown, spring of 2020. And that is because of the recreation of time through CERN that I mentioned earlier with the 1999. Paisley Park was a creativity prison to be used contractually by the Creator, and those that thought that they could use him as the golden calf and get away with these things, they did that. They did that and more. You see the resemblance? The whole media investigation is a huge cover-up. And though I didn't get into it detail for detail, I'm going to bust out part 2 right after this. I'm going to show you everything. The people that were involved, how they have dual identities, why the psychopharmacology, why they said that Andrew Kornfeld was on a red-eye flight. Howard was already there. He requested that Andrew come over to Minnesota, not go over. They use the verbiage, and it's like the lyrics, talking so fast even they don't know what they mean. The torture extended to this, you guys. This is the back door to a back part of Paisley Park, and this is where Prince Rogers Nelson was made to live. This is where the residents' investigation is focused on. Marone Bakure draws this picture for the investigators, and she says that the sound stage is here, and this is the body. This is the production room, and this is the green room. So when you go in this back door, this is the production studio over here, and there's a stairway back here by the underground garage, and of course that's Kirk Johnson's truck. Then you know that Kirk Johnson's truck back here by that door, and her drawing that this is the second death scene investigation. This is the one where the media, the medical examiner says the decedent self-administered fentanyl. It wasn't just an accidental pill, it was a self-induced fentanyl, and that's why the song, I Would Die For You. The thing is that makes it even that much weirder is that in 2016, I didn't remember my life after death experience. I didn't until New Year's Eve from 2019 to 2020 is when I started hearing from the Creator in a whole new way and writing things differently and upside down and telepathy and Hebrew studies and playing the keyboard. And I talk about it in my other videos, but at that time is when all of this information started coming back to me. So when I posted that on the 21st of April 2016 and then followed it up in June of 2016, it was because when I heard the song Breakdown, I knew that something was going to happen to Prince. Like, for all my life, I listened to music, and you watch all these, prophets of music, because lyrically and musically, when you listen as intently as I have, when I was in the afterlife, they asked me how I knew so much, and I said it was from listening to music. So when it came to Prince music, all the more so. So when I heard Breakdown, I think it was around Easter of 2014, I went to Easter dinner and I told my family, man, something's going to happen to Prince. They're going to start breaking him down. I could literally hear it in the song. And I used to meditate with the music screaming in my ears, and I would go to all these places. I called it my purple time. That was back in 2014, 2015. And then, of course, I wrote that stuff in 2016 because I've always been so in tune to the music that when I stood in the afterlife and was told that it was my purpose to bring this information about the breakdown, when I posted it on April 21st and called it the breakdown, that's why, because I heard it and felt it a long time ago. My soul was obviously being reminded by the Creator that it was the breakdown of him, but not only the breakdown of him, but of me, because he showed me during my clinical death experience how we're all eternal souls. We've been reincarnated a bunch of times. I don't know how many exactly. And some souls are larger than others. And because my soul goes back to the first woman, Eve, he said when he was free from that psychopharmacologically induced coma, hypnosis and drugs and all that, because the other was having surgery, that he knew he had to find me and make me experience a clinical death so that he could bring me there during that time to tell me these things, but I wouldn't remember them until the future. So what I'm saying is that it's like the song, The Same December. You only love when your soul remembers. And my soul is trying really hard to remember, trying really hard to tell the truth. And it's especially important that you and I, that you that's listening, if anybody's listening, that you really try to take in what I'm saying, given what people like Daniel Eck and Van Jones and Fauci, all these people who want to depopulate. You guys, there's a huge agenda. And when I was in the afterlife, I could feel the Creator's soul. I could feel him. I've been able to feel him my entire life, and I didn't know why. And so in the afterlife, there was like the evil inclination, the evil Yetzer Hara, this evil accusers, the devil. He tried to, there was these, entities, tried to show me that the one we know as Prince, the Creator, the Ancient One. I told you about all the different ways in which I saw him, which he showed me. But the others, they tried to convince me that he was like dead and unable to do anything or save anybody. It's because they had his body, but they don't know what souls are because they don't have one. They have the snake was cursed to walk on his belly to get his sustenance from the earth, from this earthen place, which is very physical. So sex, drugs, money, anything physical, that's the lie. And so when I was in the afterlife, they had his body contractually, but as the Creator, he was expressing to me, like I said, the time before time, Kedem, the Sea of Souls, who he is, how he's the Creator, CERN, how his body parts had been replaced, because these others are so cocky and vile. Like I said, you know how in the movie King Kong, they're like, oh, they go and throw ether at him and tie him up and make him into a show thing? Well, the Creator showed me how, because contractually they had his body, they thought that they could control him, and he had to, in essence, play along with them, play crazy. King David played crazy. He played crazy so that he could communicate to me and to all of us the messages in his lyrics and songs and covers and albums as much as he could in his lifetime. Because the other thing that he told me is each person in their lifetime, like, people can't like worship Moses in his lifetime because you're not supposed to worship a person. So it's only after they're gone that you can do that. And it has something to do with how he takes holy souls into the life beyond, because when he picks them up, they bring with them sparks that have been fallen down into this earthen world. And so when those holy souls that have been used to bring about his messages into this world are picked up and go into the world to come, it brings more light. So even if people think I'm crazy now, or think, oh my God, this girl loves Prince so much that, let's just change the channel. No, it's not that. I'm bringing the truth in a whole new way because the Creator brought it in a whole new way. And like I said, if it weren't for music, I wouldn't have been able to stay alive in my lifetime, to put it mildly. And so music was a gift and is a gift, and you can use it right or you can use it wrong. And all I got to do is listen to death metal or Korn or all kinds of stuff. It's just like, what are you going to use it for, good or bad? And so people talk about the satanic music industry. There's Diddy, there's people signing contracts with the devil. It's all very real. It's because in the life beyond, where this occult world exists, they show you, and may even try to show in the future, that the Creator, the one I'm talking about, the one we know as Prince, he is dead, God forbid. That's what they'll say. And they'll show you we have his body, and they'll show you all these bad things that he did. But it's like the movie The Green Mile with John Coffey. The Creator showed me how he's experienced so much bad and so much darkness and so much occult and so much death and sacrifice and horrendous, heinous. And he only wants to be free. It's why he wrote slave on his face. It wasn't because he was fighting the masters for his masters to his music. It was fighting what were contractually masters. And also because the Kingdom Hall calls themselves the discreet slave. That's a whole nother story. It's like the Hall & Oates song. He says, you got my body, now you want my soul. Don't even think about it. Say no. No mo, no. You can't believe the lies. You can't believe that the wars that were started in days of old have just gone away, that Amalek just went away, that they didn't just go away. They found a new way to hide themselves, you guys, and they hide in plain sight. And torture is close to Torah, which is why he was tortured for telling the truth, because the Torah is the truth. And the breakdown was not only on him, but it's on my life too. And I was shown a lot of things about my life and about my soul purpose, and I know who I am. I was also told about my son's soul purpose, and 3 chains of gold song. I got 3 chains of gold, and they will shine forever. So remember what I said about holy souls leaving this earth and what happens when they do. So whether or not you respect anything I'm saying, it's up to you. It's up to your neshama. It's up to the Creator. I'm going to end this video here and do some serious editing, and then I'm going to come back and talk some more about the investigation and show the players, so that the world cannot deny the truth that Elizabeth Pride, Big White Rabbit, from the Creator is supplying to you, because I love you.